All right, so I'm going to continue on with part two of our Chasing AI. Here where we're going to convert the jump function into an attack function that's going to attack our player. Let me get a share screen going here. All right, so where we ended here was with a line of sight character. We had the ability for the player or for the AI to flee. If we got too close, they would run away. And with the line of sight thing, we could hide behind objects and they can't see us because he's casting out that line of sight thing. And we could hide behind hills and so forth. So the idea here is that we're going to replace the jump state with an attack state. The AI is going to chase the player. When they're close enough, they attack, but if they get too close, they flee. And if they're too far away, they chase. I'm not going to bother to replace the jump animation. I'm going to leave it alone. But what I'm going to do is add a behavior that will cast particles at my player. I'm going to use a particle gun for the AI's gun. This involved a considerable amount of fiddling because I wanted the particles to emanate from the right hand of my little AI as it jumps. As it jumps, it raises its hand up, and I wanted the particles to come out of the hand as it jumped up. This is done in the animator controller. We go into the animator controller and we add a behavior, I think I called it fire, that's going to instantiate a particle effect, poofer 2, that just shoots out some white particles. And so this is what this is going to look like with my character. So he runs away because he's too close. He searches, he chases, and when he gets close enough, he starts jumping, and the particles are emanating from his hand. And this is what I want to do with my character. So behaviors are kind of interesting things. First of all, they're not mono behaviors. They are state machine behaviors. Interestingly, when you create a state machine behavior, it's one of the options down on the create menu. It loads a template that has all of the relevant functions there, but most of them are commented out. So the ones that we'll be using are the on state enter. This is called when a transition starts and the state machine starts to evaluate the state. I believe we can see the state here in our character. He's using the idle jump flee behavior 4. This is in the jump state here. The transition has a behavior added to, no, that's the flee. The jump state has a behavior added to it. Here's the add behavior that creates the thing. Here's fire and the poofer that it's gonna manifest. So the on state enter, that function that's created by the creation of a state machine behavior is a public void state enter with the animator as not an argument, but a return. This is like on trigger enter that returns a collider. Well, this returns the animator. as well as some information about the state and its layer index and so forth. On state exit is called when the transition ends and the state machine finishes that state. And there's on state update, which is called each time there's an update frame between on state enter and on state exit. So we have a lot of control when the state begins. We get on state enter. When the state ends, we get on state exit. And while it's in that state, we get an on state update every time. There's also on state move and on state IK, both of which trigger when the animator's on move, when the animator moves, and when the animator's IK, that's inverse kinetics, something we're not doing here, but they're all built into this template. So in Fire, we've got some public variables, one for the poofer, the particle system that I'm going to manifest, and then the host transform, the host's target transform, the children, an array of children, a child, and a game object go. All but the poofer could have been private because I'm going to get them from the on-state enter. So in on-state enter, we're going to we get the animator as that of the state that's been entered. And from the animator, we get the transform that is the host. This is the AI that's doing this stuff. From that host, we get the AI controller, dude AI 6, and from its exposed variable, we get the target that it's shooting at. Now we go through all the children of the host. That's the animator. So this is that array. This is that array of children that we get components in children of the transform host. And now we go through all of those looking for a children that's named gun tip. So I've put an object on the hand of my AI, the right hand that is going to flip up, and it has a child object called gun tip, and it finds that object. It checks all the children, but the only one that it returns is child, the children that is the gun tip. And I'm going to instantiate my poofer at that child's position with that child's rotation. So the poofer comes into existence at the hand's location. And I'm going to make it, make its parent the child. That's the hand. So this particle effect is going to be the child of the hand that has the gun tip attached to it. We get the host target. We go through the children. We find the child, and we instantiate the poofer at that location and childed to the gun tip so that it's going to follow that hand movement. In the on-state update, I'm going to keep the particle aimed at the target, at the host target. So this is happening every frame. I'm going to use a look rotation to form a rotation, a quaternion rotation that points from the child position to the host target. And I'm going to assign that to the particle poofer that I created. It's going to have a rotation that points it at the target. So the particle system is going to be aimed at my character. And in state exit, I'm going to destroy the particle effect. So when I leave the state, I'll clean up the scene by destroying the particle effect. All very cool.